The Mythosaur lives.
The founders of the future. This is the way.
This is the way.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mando-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And we are back with The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore. And they just jumped into this episode with their feet running. Let's just get to Mandalore. Like, we were debating that last week. Like,
Dude, we had 2 planets in this episode too. Don't forget, we were on Tatooine for a little bit too.
Just for a little minute.
Just a little bit.
But yeah. I would say that the fireworks was very anticlimactic for me.
Well, that whole thing was a little anticlimactic for me, sadly. I wanted more like we didn't see Boba or like I don't know. We could have just saw him or something, you know.
Well, there was a mention of him.
They did talk about him. Apparently, we're gonna have some HUD issues potentially in future stuff. So that's probably gonna be a thing. But
yeah, and for some reason, I'm trying to bring up the anchor to look at the question from last week, and it's not letting me in. 1 second as I delay. But yes, this episode, Drew, what were your overall thoughts while I'm logging in?
It was the best episode I think we've ever seen of anything.
What do you mean of anything?
Of any Star Wars, any media, anything. What? I thought it was such a perfect episode. Like, it could be just the hype of just watching it, but like the whole thing, like we got so much in this one little episode. And I mean, Jeremiah, you know me, like I am such a Mandalorian.
Yeah, but there's so many other things. Okay, I'm not saying this episode was bad, but
bro,
better than the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars. Yep. Better than
keep on coming.
The first season, the last 2 episodes, like better than A New Hope.
Dang, you got to do that.
No, I don't. Okay, that is a hot take.
No, I don't think so.
It was,
dude. We got the Mythosaur, bro.
Okay, but this always happens. You always take one scene and make that
that's all
evaluate the whole episode.
Yeah. Argue that though. The Mythosaur, bro.
Okay, that's cool, but
then we got the whole
she's
helping him, and then she saw what he was willing to do.
Right, but that's the second half was the good stuff, but the first half it was just
it's build up.
But just the first half is just okay. We're on Tatooine to get R5, some janky droid that doesn't work.
But dude, R5 is such Star Wars history in itself.
And then it's just him sitting on the
Jeremiah,
surface.
I'm not gonna
when you go over the top like that, where it's like
I'm not going over the top. I think it's the best, for sure, by far the best Mandalorian, Boba Fett. Any live action show, this is the best episode, hands down. Name a better one.
Better than the Prison Break from Andor.
Yep, he
You
can't
cried during
swim.
that episode.
I did, but
oh my gosh,
God, that's true. I did cry. But
I'm
the
kind of
thing
mad
is,
that you think this is the best live action thing we've gotten in Star
I
Wars.
think, dude, for the
That
lore
is
of Mandalore, I think this was like definitely up there.
well, if you're for that specific thing, the lore of Mandalore, okay, fine.
Well,
But of all
but
live action stuff, and you're even saying that it might
I
be
mean
better
that's
than your favorite movie in Star Wars, that's
but you got to understand the hype behind. I'm not gonna let you take this away from me, Jeremiah.
I had more hype for
Bad Batch.
episode 8 than I did for this episode.
No way! What?
Going into a movie, Star Wars movie, the hype to see a movie, I was okay. I watched Bad Batch first this morning.
I watched Bad Batch already today too. I watched that earlier, and also that episode was amazing too. Like,
was that the best? Is that the best animated thing you've ever seen?
No, I don't think it's not that great. Chill out.
I
just thought that was a really good episode, but that's for tomorrow. But I'm just saying, for like the lore of what the Mandalorian people, and we got this all in once, and like, I don't know, dude. And like I said, I already said this. It could just be the hype around of. I just got done watching it. I watched it with everyone. I jumped. I freaked out. Like, just go watch my reaction. That's all I have to say. But I don't know. I think this is one of the best episodes of live action Star Wars that we've ever seen.
I will accept one of the best.
Sure. Well, okay.
I cannot.
You did bring up the Prison Break episode, and that last scene was
Clone Wars. Last 4 episodes was the best thing of Star Wars. I will die on that hill for the rest of my life.
That's fair. But this season just started, and this episode 2 of season 3. And they're coming out hot, bro.
I think this episode will be terrible compared to a lot of other episodes we're gonna be getting this season.
that's what I'm saying.
So every week you're gonna be saying this is the best thing in all Star Wars.
This is the new take.
So
Bad Batch has been dragging so long, and now Bad Batch is catching up. Like, I don't know. This is good Star Wars. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. I'll just say that.
All right,
it's a really good time. And next month is like Celebration too. I don't know.
Yeah, we're a month away. It's literally a month from now.
We got a little bit of announcement about this new show too, that they're already pretty much wrapped.
New show?
Yeah, the Acolyte or whatever.
Oh, the Acolyte, and then okay.
I didn't see. Wrapped, I guess.
I didn't see that announcement.
Yeah, someone shared it to us today on Instagram.
Oh.
But I don't know. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Well,
it made up for those crappy Bad Batch episodes that we had to sit through. Yes. Episode 4. What were you guys doing?
But so those are your overall thoughts, and you're dragging now. So let's just I'll give you my thoughts. So yes, I think it was a very good episode, but I would say that like
Jeremiah's gonna dim it down a little bit because I went too hype.
But no, because like the Tatooine stuff was like.
Jeremiah.
I thought we were gonna get more on Tatooine. Like, okay, we're on Tatooine and we're just there to, like, I don't know, like the whole.
I think
Boon. Let me say my Boon to Eve. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, cool. Like, and we see all these fireworks and like in the trailer, we see like all these. Okay, what's this big thing that happened on Tatooine or what we think is Tatooine? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And
it was very anticlimactic for me because I had the hype of we're going to see some cool stuff on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, he just picked up a droid. Like, yeah, R5 is from episode 4, and it's like an important part of the story of Star Wars, because if Luke didn't pass on R5, he would have had R5 instead of R2-D2 and C-3PO. So it's like, yeah, it matters to the story, and it's cool. And we might have gotten a little hint of something because Pelly, the mechanic lady, said that that droid worked for the rebellion and was returned, or something like that, implying that it was.
I didn't catch that.
It was still R5 worked with the rebellion, which. he's like a war veteran now, and he came back to Tatooine.
Didn't she say? She said, "Keep acting up. I'm going to return you to the Jawas."
Oh, there's that too. But
So
she said something about returning to the rebellion, or after he returned from the rebellion. I'm like, so
I missed that. I
still
thought
got
you were talking about the Boba and
the
the
Hutts.
Hutts.
So there's that thing implying that there's more conflict between Boba Fett and the Hutts, which is was seeded in the book of Boba Fett with the conflict between the Hutts, but the Hutts left saying, "Oh, we don't need bloodshed," blah blah blah. But that might be just a little hint towards season 2 of the book of Boba Fett, if that ever actually comes to fruition, or maybe that's what the end of the Mandalorian season 3 is going to be about, is
2 episodes of
book of Boba Fett or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Tatooine stuff was anticlimactic because I thought it was going to be a bigger part of the story.
I don't think we're done there.
And and so I really thought we were going to get maybe like pod racing, because they had that street race going on right when it started. I'm like, okay, cool. There's a street race, so maybe we can see some more stuff. But no. But
yeah.
But then it was just, I felt like it was, yes, the whole like going to Mandalore was like great. Like I was always like super exciting, but it was still slow paced until the big giant spider, which scared the crap out of me. Did it scare the crap out of you?
Dude, that thing was so gross looking.
But that spider
Did
came
you
out
ever?
of nowhere.
Did you ever have? I said this in the chat. Did you ever have Bakugan? Those Lego sets.
What was it called?
Bakugan.
Never heard of it.
No.
There
was like these Legos. Those Lego sets pretty much saved Lego. Like Lego was going out of business, and they started this whole show and these figures. But anyways, he looked like the bad guy from there.
Interesting. But yes, but it was still everything we learned about seeing it, like learning about all what happened and what's left and what is still there, and like it was all very interesting. And there's a lot to talk about, because I think there's a lot of foreshadowing in this episode that is either going to come to fruition this season, or there seems to be that there's going to be 5 seasons of The Mandalorian. That's what was hinted by Jon Favreau, because he says season 3 is the middle chapter, implying that there's 2 more seasons. So we don't know what theories I have from this episode are going to be fulfilled this season or in a season or 2 from now. So it's hard.
I think the issue is with shows in general, right? Is like if it's doing really, really well, they stretch it, and like he could say this is a middle chapter, but the show's doing so well they could even push it to 6. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that they have a lot of this Mandoverse stuff with the other series lining up and intertwining. I think it's more or less planned out, start to finish by now. Like, obviously, all the details aren't going to be done yet, but I still think that, yes, Jon Favreau says season 4 is done. He's written it, and so, but I'm sure there's outlines for a season 5, and with the Ahsoka series and Boba Fett, and maybe if there's any other series that come into play. I think it's all a big outline that's fairly set by now. So, which is good. I'd rather have that than I'm just
100%. Like we've been saying that since day one, right? Like with Jon Favreau being involved, like we want like the Marvel Universe style. Like we want it all planned, unlike what they did with the prequels. Like we want it set out, the sequels. Yeah. I just, for me, like there's so many good things too about this episode with Den and the Mandalorian people. It's just, I don't know. I loved it. And like I said, it could just be because I just got done watching it, but I just thought, I didn't think any of it was slow to me. I do agree though, like the Tatooine stuff was kind of underwhelming, but at the same time, like I think it was him because he's gonna bring R5 back because he's gonna like, I don't want this crap. He's gonna return R5 and then
I don't know. Din is very sentimental, so like
you don't think I don't know if I want him to have R5.
I don't know. He's just gonna get a gauntlet, then he's gonna attach the N1 to it, so then he'll go back and get IG-11, so he'll have 2 droids.
Because that's the thing, right? Is like I wonder if she's gonna be like, "Hey, Mando, like I found your piece. Bring R5 back," and then Boba is there waiting or something. And
Maybe.
I was like hoping, I'm like, okay, what if he said, "Go get Bo-Katan," and then Bo-Katan went in and something happened to Bo-Katan, and then he's like, "All right, the only thing I can do is," he like Grogu's like, "I don't know what to do," and then he gets in the ship and R5 takes him right back to Tatooine, and they have to get Boba. I thought that would have been cool.
Dude,
Like if that would have happened.
Mando was dead. He would have been dead in like 20 minutes later if Bo-Katan didn't show up. But
yeah.
But
What
anyway,
did the fans think of last week?
Oh yeah, so our question last week on Spotify, and they keep updating the website, and so like that's why I couldn't get into it because they want to ask me all these stupid questions. So anyway, so my question was in the Spotify Q&A was, who do you think will be the primary antagonist / villain this season? We got a bunch of answers. So Connor McCloskey says Bo-Katan because she's being whiny and won't stop complaining to Mando about how he got the Darksaber fair and square. Kyle Woods 92 says Bo-Katan. Jonathan says, I think Din will unite the Mandalorians and defeat the pirates in a mid-season climax, including Bo's lost fleet versus the pirate ship, which would be cool. Then the focus will shift to the Empire, or the remnants, which would lead to Thrawn.
Ooh.
That's kind of interesting. But I was thinking, based when I read that, I was thinking, what if the pirates are working for Thrawn? I don't know. But I still like Jonathan's
I
theory
forgot
on
we
that.
still like there's still so much to this show.
Yeah.
I already forgot about the pirates, bro. Oh, and also there's nothing past this point that everything past this point is new. That was another thing. We've already seen the full trailer. I don't think there's anything
there's
in
the pirates attacking Navarro.
Well, okay, yes, the
There's
Navarro
that.
stuff, and then like the other Mandalorians helping.
But then there's like, then he's like walking through the desert with Mandalorians, right?
No, I think that was like the first thing coming out of that tunnel.
No, there's that coming out of that tunnel was a scene, yes, but in the trailer, the Mandalorian was walking out with them, so he goes back to that.
I think he goes back after he got because
Yeah,
that boy got baptized. That's his
yep. And
that's
so
the deepest baptism I've ever seen in my life.
Next one was from Retta on Spotify. She said, I think it'll be a new threat. The promo images show Bo-Katan and Din working together, so while they're in conflict now, I don't think she'll be the primary antagonist this season. And based on what happened in this episode, I think it's hard to say that Bo-Katan will be a villain now. But yes,
Yeah.
Then John says Bo-Katan. Two-Stroke Farmer says the Swamp Thing, which is the pirate king.
That's what I called it.
Yellow Snow says Gideon. Okay, we haven't seen Gideon yet, so cool. Joseph says, I think that the pirate will come back and seek revenge. Dun dun dun. And then that's what he said. Dun dun dun. And then
That's
Firstborn
awesome.
says either Bo-Katan or the Pirate Lord. So a lot of Bo-Katans, but based on what happened in this episode, I think it's pretty. I think she's kind of more on his side now. So
I think she's all in.
Yeah. So,
but also, I mean, we'll get to it, but yeah, I think she's all in now. Someone in the chat said Thrawn. I don't think Thrawn's gonna be the big threat in this because
he'll be
that's for Ahsoka.
I think they're gonna.
You think we're gonna see Thrawn?
I don't know if we're gonna see him. I think there'll be some hints.
Because it sounds like the beginning of we thought the premise was this show was for him to go to Mandalore and get baptized, like getting to that point. Well, he's done that. So
right. So
I don't want the pirates to be like the big main bad in this season because I think it's kind of whack personally.
Oh yeah, but you
But
don't know anything about him, so it's hard to say.
I just like I rewatched this last week's episode a couple times. I'm like, dude, I cannot get past the fact that they just look like Pirates of the Caribbean pirates. Like they don't.
Because
It's
they're
too
supposed
Disney
to.
for
What do
me.
you mean
I
too
don't
Disney?
know.
I don't know what you mean by that.
It just means like it's too like kiddie. Like it didn't feel like Star Wars. It felt like I was
What?
watching Pirates of the
Dude, it
Caribbean.
looked just like Hondo's crew. Like I
The
don't know.
beard dude. I think it's the squid face
Okay,
monk thing. Whatever.
okay, the Pirate
Swamp
King,
Thing.
yes, he looks weird. No one likes that
I
look.
think it's just him. It was
But
just him that kind of just like.
but I don't know.
But
I don't know. So let's go scene by scene.
yes. Let's do it.
So I knew at the beginning of this episode we were going to see a mythosaur. Want to know why? Because they talked about the mythosaur in the recap. And whenever they bring something up in the recap, it's always addressed in the show.
Yeah.
So I knew that they were going to bring in the mythosaur in this episode just based on that. So it's like part of me was like, should I even watch the recap anymore?
You probably shouldn't.
Like, I know some people
I don't pay attention.
Well,
I was like talking to the chat because the thing is like I can't skip that stuff because the time will be off. You know what I mean? So like I can't skip the recaps, but last week obviously the recap was important. Then this week I kind of was like talking to the chat, and not even really focusing. But I did kind of catch that. But yeah, now that you say that, yeah, 100%, yeah, you probably should have skipped the whole intro stuff.
But yeah, so it was still intense when we saw the mythosaur at the end. But
yeah, it was.
But yes, I connected the dots too much there, and so
At least they didn't put it on the thumbnail.
that is true.
That would have been.
I kept getting so spoiled for the Bad Batch episode.
What was the thumbnail this week?
It wasn't even that because I wake up this morning, blah blah blah, and I just click on YouTube's homepage, and like every thumbnail is from Bad Batch reaction. I'm like 7:00 in the morning, and there's already
people have watch parties at like 2 a.m. because they're insane.
Yeah, and then they put spoilers on their thumbnails, like some people. Like,
hey, but at least mine is like a day late, $1 short.
You're like,
my thumbnail is literally a day later. By the time
it'll be up by midnight tonight, probably.
I'm not okay. I can tell you this right now. I'm not putting a mythosaur in my thumbnail from the watch party. Okay.
Okay.
Like the only thing in this episode is gonna be probably like Den and Bo-Katan. Like
spoilers.
Chill. Like I'm not gonna. Last week it was just like I that was a rough thumbnail. I wasn't even 100% happy with that thumbnail last week.
Yeah,
to say the least.
So anyway, we cut after the recap. We're on Tatooine right away, and there's people shooting off fireworks in the middle of the sun, daylight. Like, what a waste of.
Like what they do during the 4th around here.
It's just stupid. Like, why are you wasting your fireworks in this bright of the day? But
at least they're accurate to
whatever. It's not our holiday. We can't judge another culture's holiday cultural expressions and whatnot. So if you're listening from Tatooine, you do you. Blah blah blah.
And also, how do I get there? I want to go.
You would not go if you had the opportunity. Like, that'd be the most terrifying thing.
If I could go and not like die through space, I would totally go. What do you mean?
You think you could? You wouldn't leave your wife and kid though. And I can tell you right now, Stephanie would not let herself, the kid, or you go to Tatooine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think she's a desert kind of person.
No. And so fireworks are going off. There's a street race. Like, they're drifting around. One of them crashes and wipes out. R.I.P. probably that guy. But we go to the mechanic, Pelly, and she's talking with a Rodian, classic Star Wars character, Rodian. And if I read what was, because there's just one side of the conversation, you don't know what the Rodian's saying, but I'm assuming she stole that speeder, and took the engine out and say, hey, I gotta buy parts from, because obviously he didn't bring it to him because
No, so what I was getting at in the chat was helping me. I think what happened was he crashed driving it, and then they took the parts, or the Jawas robbed him as it was parked, and then he brought it to her to get fixed.
Right, so I
And they
think,
had all the parts.
but it was a whole
I don't
scheme
think
because she told at the end when he left, like,
Yeah, that's true.
go steal
Yeah,
more from other things because it's the best time to steal because everyone's nice cars are out there for racing.
yeah. So it was kind of
she's
her.
working with the Jawas to steal
Or her
parts off.
boyfriend is probably one of them.
No, they broke up. Remember?
I feel like
She said she used to date a Jawa. Furry, very furry.
Oh, dude, that was like one thing. I'm like, dude, I love when she speaks Jawa. I think it's the best thing in all of Star Wars.
Okay, you're making all these big.
It's so funny, bro. It's so hilarious. And dude, you didn't watch the watch party, but all the single guys in the chat were like giddy about her, and I don't know why. Like Will, Yellow Snow.
Well, I believe Will
Tan.
has a girlfriend.
Well,
so I can't remember what.
I don't know. All I know is they're saying that she looked cute, and they don't know why.
They said that she looks cute.
Dude, bro, they were going crazy over her. I don't know
people
why.
need to take a chill pill.
And I was like, Tanner, what are you guys really talking about her right now? Tanner's like, hey, you're married. I don't want to hear it from you.
Okay, whatever. So anyway, Pele, she's a scam.
Does she look different to you?
No, she looks exactly the same.
That's
now Bo-Katan looked different. There's something about her that I don't know. I
she looks depressed.
Had different makeup on, like they did her makeup different or something. But she just looked different in the face. Like I don't know.
I think she just looks depressed.
I don't know if she was tan, a little bit more tan or something. But like I don't know. But anyway, Pele, she's a scam artist with the Jawas. So
her character, I'm growing to love her character so much more though. I think in the first season I didn't really. I think in the first season, if I remember correctly, I was just like whatever about her. Oh. But now I really like her character. I don't know why they haven't made her a figure yet.
I don't know. But Mando, he lands, comes out of nowhere. She loves the sound of that N1 Starfire that she put together for him. And she's looking for Grogu. Where's my little kid? Where's my boy? And Grogu does a force jump out of the cockpit. Like, holy smokes. Like, he's not hiding the fact that he's force sensitive. But he jumped out there, blah, blah, blah. Man was saying, I'm just looking for a memory, whatever, for an IG thing. IG droid. And she's like, oh, they don't make those anymore. Jawas probably can't find it, blah, blah, blah. But I got this droid for you. You can have R5. Give you half off and a oil bath, blah, blah, blah. And so, because he needs a droid to measure the toxicity of the air on Mandalore, and that's why he wanted IG-11, but he's RIP still. And so he agrees to take R5, and R5 is scared. He's shaken. He's a wuss, falling apart. He's not as good as he once was. But he forces R5 to go with him.
When she hit, I thought when she hit it, I was like, oh, is this the same as like, I thought that his motivator was going to pop out. I was like, oh, well.
But, so, when he's all packed up, they leave, and that's when there's the big night fireworks going off that we saw in the trailer. And so, all right, that's the scene. And that was done. Okay, cool. A little disappointed that was anticlimactic, but it is what it is. But then he arrives at Mandalore from a distance, and he's just talking to Grogu, hey, this is where we can trace everything, our history and all Beskar and all that stuff back to this planet. But I have yet to be there. And he points, I grew up on that planet over there, Concordia. And then he's showing on the map. here we are, and then here's Kalevala or whatever it was, Kalevala or however it's pronounced, where we just came from where Bo-Katan was, and points on the map. And he's like, you gotta make sure you know how to navigate the galaxy, blah, 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 because you don't want to get lost and you know where you're going. So I was like, I kind of thought, like, okay, he's definitely foreshadowing something there, like Grogu needing to know how this map works.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so they fly in. It's like from the distance, you can see that there's storms going on the planet, even from like there's big giant hurricane looking storms all over the planet. And so he flies down through the storm, and then when you get through the clouds, then you can see everything, and it's just green crystallized surface, which we already knew about. And fun fact, so I posted this in the Discord, but so that shard that he found had like the Mandalorian inscriptions on it from last episode. Remember that, Drew?
Yep.
So people took that and they tried to translate it from the Mandalorian language, and it's actually Bible verses from the book of Exodus. So it's from when it says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart and he wouldn't let God's people go, release them from slavery. It's that passage. So it's just kind of like cut out where it's just kind of like words, and it's kind of like if you took like the whole page of like a column,
it's like half a page.
It's like in the middle of it. So it's like you only see like some words in like the beginning and the end of some words. But like if you type out the whole passage, like you can actually highlight and stuff. So I thought that was cool. We don't really know
interesting
what relevance that has, because
they had to know that people are gonna do that.
Well, yeah, anytime there's a translatable text, people are gonna look it up.
That's so interesting.
So it's something about slavery and freedom and not.
But I guess they were all slaves to the Empire.
There's that, yeah, which would make sense if the Empire wouldn't let them go, just like Pharaoh wouldn't let the Hebrews go. So like, cool. And so
that's kind of cool.
So they fly in, and the whole planet's just so it's like really weird because it seems like the whole entire planet has been crystallized. So like,
the whole planet's nuked.
But it's like I find it hard to believe that they would do the whole entire planet, other than like you think they would just do where like the cities are, where the settlements are, like.
But they probably they didn't want Andy Mandalorian.
Well, I get that, but like, how would you do an entire planet?
I mean, a lot of work. It took a while.
Like,
but my thing is, why didn't they do it to the other moons, where a lot of the Mandalorians were staying too?
Well, I think it was more of a
statement
towards the culture, like we're wiping away your entire.
Why didn't they just blow it up with the Death Star?
Because the first one was destroyed already, and the second one probably wasn't operational yet. Because I still.
What's the timeline like? Do we know when?
We don't know when the Night of 1,000 Tears occurred. Some people think it's post episode 6, but I think there's more evidence for before episode 6 ended. So I think it's sometime during the original trilogy is when it happened. But if they
because we're on there during Rebels, right?
Yes, and so that would have been 6 months to a year before episode 4. We were on the Mandalorian Rebels,
and she said it wasn't that long ago when this happened,
right? And I think in order if they literally bombed the entire surface of an entire planet, like post episode 6, the remnants wouldn't have the resources to do that.
No.
And so I think that
I'm guessing it probably was during like 5.
Probably.
Before the second Death Star was capable.
Right. And so
that would make sense. Do you think we'll ever know when? Or do you think that's like one of those things where they don't want to fully tell because they don't want to mess up any timelines?
Well, what needs to happen is we need to go to a panel where Jon Favreau is,
and ask
and
him.
this when they do a crowd Q&A, say, hey, can you give us like an exact, like an range? Was it during? I just want to know if it was during the original trilogy or not, which is vague enough for me, but we'll probably never know exactly. But yes, so they see the surface, but all his gadgets and communication and stuff on the N1 ship are all going crazy, and so none of his instruments work. So he lands and makes R5 go into the tunnel to check out the air quality underground. And R5 is scared. He's shaking in his wheels,
His bolts.
But he goes, and Grogu's scared for him. But oh, don't worry, we can just watch him on the screen. Obviously, something was gonna happen. Like I figured that yes, the dot's gonna disappear, or it's gonna start like going really fast, like he's running or something.
That would have been
or
hilarious.
like going like all over the place, like he's scared. But the light just turns off, so Mando's like, crap. I guess I gotta go. So he can pressurize his helmet, apparently, where he can.
Probably for a little bit.
So I'm guessing it can filter the air a little bit for a little bit. So I wonder if it works in space. Like, can he breathe at all in space for like a short time with a pressurized helmet? Like, or does he just not have any air at all? I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. But he would die anyway if it was just in the elements of space. But so he walks through the tunnel, and we see the underground city, which I was kind of surprised because I guess I knew there was a lot of deep part, but I thought that was just in the city. But like I didn't really see him land at the city. Whereas when Bo-Katan comes later on, she comes in and we see the city from the top view. So like, I was a little confused by like where exactly he landed in relation to the city. But whatever. He goes through the tunnel and he sees the city, which if you've watched Clone Wars, you are familiar with how that city looks. So it's like all that boxy buildings that are kind of look like twisty mazes or whatever, like no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of like there, but cool. Like it's still like you can still like see the structures and stuff, so it's not like completely obliterated. Obviously nothing's usable, but I'm like, hey, cool, like this is a cool view. And then he gets attacked by monsters, which, did I write it down what they're called? Alamites.
I guess
Alamites, and so they are, I guess, native to the planet as well, but they lived outside the city settlements and stuff. So, okay, cool. Like I wonder, I'd like to know more about their history, but we probably won't because they just seem very primitive. I think they have 4 eyes. They kind of look like chimpanzee faces a little bit with eyes, like the way their jaw. Like
they kind of look like
weird.
I don't know, like cavemen.
Cavemen, yeah. They were in caves, so kind of makes sense. But yeah, so it's 3 of them, I believe, that Mando starts fighting. And they knock the gun out of his hand, his blaster, and so he has to whip out the Darksaber. And it's still very heavy for him. He can barely swing it. He's like...
It almost looked like he didn't practice at all.
I think he's too scared to practice because he knew...
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, he knows... Well, one, he almost cut his leg off the one time he used it in battle. And then trying to learn from the armorer how to fight. Like, he still can't handle the pressure. Like, he says... What'd she say? You don't fight with the sword, you fight with your mind or something like that. You're battling.
You don't fight against the sword.
Yeah, you fight. But you're fighting against your mind right now, or something like that. So like he's not ready to lead Mandalore in the way he is now. Like his state of mind, he's not confident, or he
even
doesn't know like
I think he
accept
just
the responsibility. We don't really know exactly what his internal struggle is, but
because the way Bo-Katan used that thing,
dude,
it was like a whole other level,
she took out her shield and then pointed it like this.
bro.
We'll get to that. Spoilers. But yes, so then he ends up fighting. Like he ends up winning, throws them off the ledge. They fall to their death, even though they're already dead. But they fell off the cliff. So
Well, one he stabbed and then he
yeah,
threw it too.
but yeah. So then he defeats them, and R5 is just laying there. Like I guess if you tip over, your GPS goes out. I guess I don't know. Like that's kind of funny. I just kind of picture
or did he just he turned himself off because he didn't want to get eaten?
maybe.
Like maybe he just shut himself down.
I don't know. I just picture from the movie A Christmas Story, Ralphie laying in the snow in his big snowsuit. I can't get up, and he's just rolling back and forth. I was kind of thinking of that, but
I could see that.
but
I was more thinking that he got so scared he shut down. He like played dead.
right. But he gets R5 up. They go back to the ship, and R5 shows his readings, and it's like 95% purity, like almost 100% perfect air. So it's like, okay, we're fine.
Like,
Like,
probably better than what we're breathing in right now.
So there's no need to like abandon the planet, even though it's been destroyed. Like you can still rebuild because it's breathable air. It's not poisoned. So the question is like, where does that lie come from? Like, many people believed you couldn't live there. Well, where did that come from? Maybe it was at one point unbreathable, but it recovered pretty quick. But like, I wonder.
Yeah, like did it degas itself?
Right. So.
Or was that a lie that like the Watch told because it feels like the Watch and the other Mandalorians like have such an issue with each other. Like maybe that's like something that the Watch was like saying so that they're like blaming the Mandalorian people for it.
I don't know. I don't know if the armorer would lie about that though.
Well, I don't know if she would lie, but maybe someone like she doesn't trust that planet because she also doesn't trust anyone that was on that planet, you know?
Right.
Like, I think like Din Djarin has a lot of healing with those two different people groups.
Right.
Like,
Which
a
we'll
lot
get
of work to
into.
do.
That's a big topic that Bo brings up while they're walking through the ruins. But anyway, that's where we're getting too far ahead. So yes, the air is breathable. So Mando and Grogu enter the tunnels again. And Mando's like, all right, we got to go down. And he just jumps. He just jumps and uses a jetpack. And apparently Grogu's basket thing is more like a speeder, like ship than we realized. I thought, okay, it just hovers across the ground and moves a little bit. Like Mando, like had his control thing once, like he could control it from his wrist to like make it move away. But apparently, it's like a scooter, dude. Like,
well, this is a different one than this is what his third one now.
probably just the second one, probably.
No, because
the one
he had
that
one
was
in the beginning.
But that was, I think, the one he still had in season 2 when it got eaten by that underwater monster.
I think that's his. I think that was his second one already, and the underwater monster ate his second one.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I just thought it was all the same.
Chat, help me out. But I know this one's different than that one.
Yeah, chat.
Sure.
Go watch the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
We can look it up
while we're doing this to
on
see.
Wikipedia, probably.
But yes, they work their way all the way down as far as they can go, and they're kind of at the sewers, like the sewers, underground tunnels, all that jazz. And it's a little creep, dude. I'd be scared doing out down there. And why weren't he scared of those dragon monster things that had like glowy
That he's
eyes?
just walking by.
Yeah, like why are you not scared of that? Like I'd just shoot them all. Like I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. He was treat them like bats. Like don't touch them, don't wake them. They won't, like a bunch of them won't come out. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, let's just walk through them and act like nothing's going on.
Right. So I'm like, okay. At first I thought that was like a baby mythosaur for a second. I was like, okay, the mythosaur is this giant thing that we thought, but it's actually just
They're just little tiny
tiny
things.
things that are like crocodiles or something.
You guys used to ride the mythosaur. Yeah, they're little tiny crocodiles. What do you mean?
That's just what the foundlings would ride around on, this little dragon things. And like a kid's name was Mandalorian, and he would that's what he was known for, riding around on a little crocodile thing, and people just made him think that he was like, oh yeah, only the best can ride those little things, like da 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 da, and then he got to his head, and this is like a fake story. It'd be kind of funny, but yeah. So, excuse me, man. Even though I'm over COVID, I still have a little cough, but
ooh.
So he's going along, and he looks down, and he finds a helmet. But here's the thing: the way that the visor was covered in the sand, dude, it looked like a Tesla logo. I was like, okay, Elon Musk has product placement. Like
that's where that ship that's where that car landed after he shot it into space. Landed on Mandalore.
Possibly, you never know.
It was floating out there somewhere.
Maybe Elon Musk is the true Mandalore.
I don't.
You don't got a button for that. You're about to push a button. Yeah. But yeah, so he picks up this helmet and he's just looking at it. And then we all get jump scared because a big giant underground spider grabs him and takes him away. It
was weird though. It was like a robot spider.
It was scary.
This scene,
I think I yelled when I had like.
Oh really?
I got started a little bit, but that's the whole point.
This scene, like, Jeremiah, I know you hate it, but it reminded me so much of Lord of the Rings with the spiders, and like when we're like Frodo got captured by the spider, and then like what's it called? I don't even know right now. I'm blanking. When they found him and he was like all wrapped up in the spider stuff, like it just felt like very, I don't know. It kind of just gave me some Lord of the Rings vibes. I don't know.
There's a lot of movies and shows with giant spiders in it, so
true.
It's a little overdone. It's not even.
You know what doesn't? I mean, last season we got a full nest of spiders.
Full nest of spiders.
Of ice spiders.
Maul was a spider at one point.
True. And it was like a droid spider too.
That, and there's giant spiders on Kashyyyk.
Star Wars have lots of spiders.
Giant.
But you know who doesn't have spiders?
Who?
Wesley Andrews.
Okay, there's two options that you were going for.
Because we clean.
Clean your coffee shop on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, they should. Actually, I'm not in there, so I don't know. But I believe they do.
Well, as long as it's clean by August 18th. That's all that matters.
It'll be clean by August 18th.
That's EmpireCon. First night, meet and greet. Sign up for EmpireCon. Join the Discord.
Sign up.
But yes, our sponsor for today is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. So let's take a listen from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code Empire Radio, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it. So Mando is taken.
Mm-hmm.
And Grogu is all by himself. And he starts to follow. And so
when he was taken, I was like, wait, is that how they ending this episode? There's so many points in this episode that I thought, I'm like, all right, they're gonna end it here. And then I looked at my clock. I was like, wait, we still have like 20 minutes left.
I never felt that at all. I like they're going all
I just
out
thought
in this episode.
they could like just leave us cliffhanger after cliffhanger. Like, yeah.
But yes, so this spider thing we see has a single eye, like a real eye inside a fishbowl. I'm like, okay, this is really weird. And so it goes back to like he has like a lair, and he's able to remove himself from the big giant spider and go into a droid, little like robot droid body thing. And so they were very specific in making that eye look like Grievous's eye, and the way that robot walked looked very reminiscent of Grievous. So I was like, dude, is this actually Grievous? Is all that's left?
That would have been so cool.
Is all that's left of Grievous is his eyeball? Like somehow he survived from episode 3? Like obviously they could not justify doing that at all, but it was very like just the way it walked, and like just there's like that scene in episode 3 where there's like a zoom in on Grievous's eyes. Like it really looks like Grievous's eye to me. And so okay, like this is weird. And so he has Mando inside a very tight clasped cage, and he stabs him with like a needle. Like is that oh sorry, he stabbed him with like a needle like when he first grabbed him, which like made him pass out. And so it was like a laser needle or something. And so the droid guy walks away, and then Grogu goes to try and help him. Tries to use the Force to break the cage open, but he fails. It just clangs really loud. And then the droid comes after him, and Mando's like, go get Bo-Katan. Like, oh crap, this is what we're doing. And so Grogu, he Force jumps into his pod thing, and he starts cruising, dude.
That boy's booking it.
Now this is pod racing.
Mm-hmm.
So he was definitely booking it.
He was trying to get out of there.
So I can understand his pod thing, like dropping slowly, but like flying up, I was like, I don't know, is that even possible? Like with that thing? But he could fly up thousands of feet back up to the ship. So while this is happening, one of the dragon bat things wakes up and starts chasing him, and so
dude, I jumped so high when that thing popped out, even though I could see it in the distance through the tunnel a little bit. As soon as it still walked past, I still jumped like freaking high as heck. Yeah, it was good. It got me.
Right. So he gets back to the starfighter, and he points to the map to go to the planet that they were at before, to R5. I navigate to this planet. So good thing they got R5, because if he just went there, like Grogu wouldn't know how to fly the ship.
Oh no,
I don't think he even knows how to turn autopilot on. Like
I think that was a very important thing that she said too, is like, oh, or R5 can navigate for you, or like drive for you too.
Right. So
but I was honestly like, when because he pointed at that thing to go there. I was like, what if R5? Like, a part of me was like, R5 is just gonna bring him back to Tatooine. Like, R5's out of here. Like, that was like in my mind. I'm like, is that what he's gonna do? But he listened to Grogu.
Yes. So it jumps to the castle in Kalevala, and the droid there is like,
You have a visitor.
well, he's like, Your Majesty. So I wonder if he's a droid that she had before Mandalore split, like when she was a child or something.
That was probably one of the
Because
Mandalorian droids.
so, because I think she said, did she say she grew up on Kalevala?
No, she grew up on Mandalore. I think
She's from that planet or something. I thought she said.
Oh, really?
I can't remember.
I thought it was more like I was thinking more like before the Empire took it over, like, or as they were, they fled to that planet, and then she was like really there for a little bit until she lost the Darksaber.
I don't know.
Because at a certain point she loses it, right? So like, there's somehow she loses the Darksaber, and yeah, I don't know.
But I'm assuming the droid was a droid she had from decades earlier, which we don't really know how old Bo-Katan is. Like, it's really weird because it's literally been, what, 30 some years since Clone Wars. But like, how old
was she like 17, 18 in Clone Wars?
How old is Katie Sackhoff? She is 42 years old. So there's no way that she's only 42. So like, has to be.
Do they say how old she is? And like,
I don't know. I feel like she might have been like college age during the Clone Wars or something. But like,
she probably was like 17.
Dude, no, because she's just she looks older than a teenager in Clone Wars, but it's hard to tell because she was super. But she was very, yeah. But they knew how to make kids look like kids, and Ahsoka looked like a teenager.
She's older than Boba Fett.
Right, and Boba Fett would be.
And Boba Fett, that boy looks way older than her.
35 plus 13, 48. So Boba Fett's 48 years old.
Bro, someone didn't do the math on this.
And so
she would have to be like almost in her 60s.
Something like, I don't know. Yellowstone said she was 17 in Clone Wars, but I don't know.
That's what I was thinking too.
But even then, that would mean she would only be a few years older than Boba Fett, which, sure, but Katie Sackhoff, I guess maybe it's just her time spending time in the living waters.
Well,
when she was a kid, made her youthful.
True.
Maybe that's the fountain of youth right there.
Maybe. But then you gotta also think maybe it's also because Boba Fett had a lot of battle damage. Like, he went through a lot. And she was royalty, so it doesn't mean she was fighting all the time.
But she's been fighting for past 35 plus years, though. Like,
true. They should kind of age her and not make her look younger.
Right. So,
like, she doesn't even look 40, dude.
Like, even if they just took her hair and didn't make it as bright red,
made it like she had like some like gray highlights
gray
in it
or lighter red hair, like it would make it look like she's a little bit older. But
yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
that's why you think she looks different. Maybe they made her hair even darker this season.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or like the lighting makes her. I don't know.
But
I also feel like we're getting a lot of her without her helmet on, too. Like, more.
I don't know. But either way, the droid says you have an unscheduled visitor. So she looks out the window, and it's the N1 Starfighter, and she's like, well, we're going to make sure that he's not...
We're going to get rid of him for once and for all.
So I was like, okay, they're going to fight. Like, she's going to try and take the Darksaber from him. Here, this is going to be a fight. And she starts yelling at the ship when it lands, and then it opens up and he's not sitting there, and Grogu pokes his head out. She's like, what happened to him or whatever? And she tells her droid to download information from the R5 to see where they came from. Immediately, she gets her gauntlet and they're off. And she gets to Mandalore, and it was really weird. Like when she was like flying through the storm, like she had like a smirk on her face. Like it was weird. I don't know.
I thought it was more like she was. It seemed like she almost hasn't been. Well, she hasn't been there since the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Right. But it was just weird
So,
that
like,
she had a smirk on her face. Like I didn't get the point of the smirk.
oh, I didn't really catch that. I thought it was more like she was sad that it looked like that.
I don't know. I just thought it was she had a weird smirk on her face. But she flies down. We see the city, like the overview of the city, which Mando didn't. We didn't see from his perspective, which is.
But that is a perspective that we did see in the trailer from that ship.
Right. What was the name of the planet? I forget. What's the name of the planet? Sundari. Or the city. Sundari. So she lands and she drops down to the ground surface with Grogu, and they start walking through, and she starts talking like how strong are the how good are you at the Force or something, blah blah blah. And there used to be peace between us. I used to fight with the Jedi once, like, so she was referring to Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. And so she's like trying to be all buddy with Grogu, like I don't know. Maybe Din and Bo-Katan are gonna get married someday, and they're gonna raise this kid together. So maybe she's just trying to be stepmom Bo. I don't know, but she gets to the point where she stops and she looks at the roof, or the ceiling of the cave. There's something moving around up there, and so I didn't notice this till like the second time I watched the episode, but those monsters, those guys fall through the crystals like when they attack Mando. And so they're just ready to jump through the crystals or break through them to attack. So, but she saw it before the threat, before it happened. So she pushed Grogu away, which I thought was, this is cool. I don't know. I thought it was a cool scene, even though it was just her pushing it away. I thought it was just a cool way how she nudged it away to safety. Then she just starts shooting the ceiling. They all fall through, and then she just fights and beats them. Okay, like of course, like this is, she's not gonna die here, so she wins, and they continue on, and they get to where the lair is, and she fights the droid guy because she shoots because the droid's working on Mando. Like he pokes him with a needle and it starts draining his blood or something. Like this is really weird. But so she shoots like the pump, goes in there, fights the droid. She gets knocked down. She uses her whip thing to get the Darksaber laying on the ground, kills the droid. Then she starts trying to talk to Mando, but then the head off the thing detaches. The eye inside the head walks off, and I was like, all right, I know what's going to happen. He's going to attach himself to the giant spider, and then she has to...
I honestly forgot about that.
So
I was like, well, it wasn't dead, but I totally forgot about the giant spider behind him.
Right. And so then she has to start fighting this giant spider, and with this Darksaber, and she's very, very efficient.
Very efficient.
Like, I feel like
she used that thing a lot.
Like, she was very skilled in her use of the lightsaber, the Darksaber, and so I was impressed by it, and I thought it was so cool. Like, we don't get to see a lot of saber action like that in live action. So like we see some of the stuff in like the animated stuff, but
Well, we saw it in like Kenobi show, but like
he didn't
or-
really just fight a giant mechanical spider though. Like we haven't seen like
no.
we haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
like
yeah.
big live action saber skills before.
It
live
felt
action.
like you said. It kind of did feel like we were watching Clone Wars show. Like
So
it had that cool feel to it.
she cuts off some of the legs. She runs underneath it and slices the belly, and
Listen.
then cuts the head off, and finally the eyeball dies. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
I wish we would have got something for it, but there is nothing
Right.
to show of that.
So she releases Mando, and then it goes to them up on the surface, like where the cave entrance was, and she's making pog soup, which apparently is a staple in Mandalorian culture, which Mando never had. So I don't.
She starts throwing shade that she's like, that's so funny and ironic that you've never had this.
Like, you are technically the leader of Mandalore and you've never had pog soup. Remember pogs? Back when we were a kid.
Pogs. Did you have some?
Oh yeah, I had all kinds of them. And then you had the slammers. Remember the slammers? Oh yeah.
Yes, of course, Jeremiah.
The kids, half the people listening to this, probably most of the people don't even know what the heck a pog is.
Over half of the people listening to this don't even know what pogs are.
And so those were the good old days when you just had pieces of circle cardboard with pictures on it. But
we didn't need an iPad to entertain us.
Yeah, kids, you and your video games and stuff like that. Even though I'm gonna try and get a PlayStation 5 sometime soon, but
yeah, chill, dude.
Yes. So what I really like is Mando is like, you saved my life, now I'll always be in your debt. So what does that mean? Like, that's hinting at something where Bo is going to be in need and she's going to call Mando for help. So who knows when that's going to be.
I also thought she was going to keep the lightsaber.
No, she wouldn't do that.
Well, I don't know.
Because she's traditional, so she's accepted the laws of, or the ways of the how things are done.
Yes. In the hindsight, yes. I'm just saying in that moment, I was like, oh, she's keeping that thing. She's not giving it back. She was super efficient with it. She was going to beat, or she was going to do something to Din Djarin as soon as he landed, even though he wasn't in there. I didn't, at this point, as I'm watching this, I did not think she was good yet. You know what I mean? She's throwing shade because that boy's never had that soup before. Meanwhile, Grogu is like begging her to have the soup the entire time. It's so much like Grogu in this season reminds me so much of Miles, because like that's what Miles, he makes those hand gestures and like when he's trying to ask for something but he can't say it. When I have chips or something, I was like, oh dude, this kid is so much like Miles. It's so funny.
Did you teach Miles any of the basic sign language stuff?
Yeah, he knows
like
more.
That's the only
thing I know. Please. But when he gets super excited, he says like he does all his sign languages at once.
one of these, please. One of these.
Something. He'll wave. He'll do this. He'll do this. I'm like, all right, you want it?
Is that the equivalent of button mashing in sign language?
Yeah,
just hoping for the best.
He's just like, one of these will work. He did that today when I opened the thing and he saw his cup that has a straw. He loves straws, and he saw that and he was like, I want water like that. Oh, yeah, chill, child.
But anyway, Mando is like, I'm forever in your debt, but I'm still going down to find the waters of the living waters. And Bo is like, all right, I'll show you, because there's no way you're going to find them on your own. So they go down there. And so this is where we get interesting stuff that happens. A lot of good conversations, a lot of lore and stuff. But before we jump into that, we gotta have one more commercial from our good friend Lucy. So let's take a listen to this commercial.
Hey everyone, Lucy here, and I'm pleased to tell you that some of my fellow Empire Radio listeners and I made a fantastic original Star Wars audio drama, all through sending voicemails to the pod. It's called the Voicemail Cinematic Universe. Here's the thing, we need your help. The Empire's goal is to get an illustration made by us listeners for every single voicemail, and we have quite a ways to go. So if you have any sort of artistic abilities, join the crew. Any type of media is welcome. Lego scenes, digital art, paintings, you could even make food art. If you answer this call to action, there's a link in the description that leads directly to a Google Doc. It tells you exactly how to submit your art. This whole VCU project will be 100% fan-made, and we can't wait to see everyone's work. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it. Now, we have some special news concerning the VCU.
Ooh.
Some big news. Big news.
I think I saw something in an email briefly, but I didn't read it.
Well, we got some submissions for the VCU.
Oh, okay.
But so Lucy, if you know her, if you've been paying attention, so she has her own podcast. And so on, I believe it was Monday, she posted a huge announcement. And this is exciting. So you remember last fall, she sent us a voicemail and she's like, I have a big surprise for you, blah, 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 but I can't tell you about this until after the VCU project has been illustrated. You remember that at all, Drew?
Briefly, but that's so
So that was last fall sometime. Well, she decided to announce what that project is on her podcast.
But not on ours.
Not on ours, because it's her own life. She can do whatever she wants.
So are we not supposed to know about this?
We are supposed to know because she put it on her podcast. It's public. The whole universe can go listen. So she still has the terms that she's not gonna release this thing or do this thing until the VCU is fully illustrated. But her big announcement was an hour-long thing. I only listened to like the first half so far because it was long. But her and Addie, our good friend Addie, sends in voicemails. They've become like best friends. Like this is like the biggest accomplishment of our podcast. Is like Lucy and Addie are like the best of friends like could ever be right now. And so
that's so funny.
So they announced this week on her podcast, Lucy's podcast, because Addie has her own as well. But for the past 4 months, the both of them have been writing a novel-length audio drama that is a sequel to the VCU. And so they have, I think they said that they have finished like writing it. I don't know if they finished like doing like the audio aspect of it, but it would be 10 episodes long, so 10 weeks long of content. So there's 10 chapters of this story. All of these characters, they're doing all the voices, and it's a sequel story to the VCU, but they're not going to release this to the public until the VCU itself is fully illustrated and people can watch that movie that we make, and then they can listen to the sequel story, which takes place, I think, 2 years after the events of the VCU story.
Wow.
So I'm super hyped about this. I think it's really cool. They're talking about different characters and kind of some story ideas and stuff. And so I'm getting hyped. Addie put me in the story, so I have a cameo in the story. And so
nice.
Like I'm telling you guys right now, get the VCU illustrated so we can see and listen to this new audio drama that Lucy.
I kind of wish Lucy would have like sent us a voicemail and tell us to go listen to her podcast because of that announcement.
Well, maybe she will. I don't know. But yeah, so we are about 36% illustrated on this project. We got 4 submissions this week from David, who is not the David that was in our
Discord.
This David is also in our Discord, Dozar or something like that, and he was in your chat earlier.
Yeah, I saw that David.
So I believe
like,
that's the same one.
David.
David Saint STP, I think, was in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
So he made some really great Lego stop motion videos.
Gosh, those are gonna be
Dude,
so
the
cool.
one he made one for one of Lucy's voicemails, and it's like camera angle changes and like, dude, it was
Jeez,
really
that's
really
so
good.
cool.
And so, but we're only 36%, so we have 87 voicemails we have to illustrate, and we only got like 30 some of them done. So
Let's get it done by Empire Con, you
dude,
guys.
get it done because I want to hear this.
If not, Jeremiah's gonna pick episode 8 for us
I
to
might,
watch.
I don't know, I
wanna
might,
watch episode 8, man.
I might, we're part of the needlesslynerdy.com entertainment network. Maybe I'll see if David can post something about maybe I know we said we want the fans to illustrate this thing, but maybe through that website, maybe some people who are artists will want to take it. Maybe we can expedite this process a little bit more. But because I want this story from Lucy and A. They've been working really hard on it. They've been spending like hours on Zoom meetings writing together, and
Jeez.
like I'm excited for it. So if you want me to stop babbling on about this, get this illustrated, get it done.
You guys want
There's a link in the description, the VCU Illustration Project, which you heard from the commercial. Just click that. There's timestamps for everything, for all the voicemails. Listen to them, illustrate them, whether it's just a drawing, a painting, digital art. If you want to do stop motion stuff like we got one of those from Addie before, and then David sent in 4 of them this week. So
yeah, I saw all that. I was like, dang.
So get it done, people. I'm excited. All right.
Me too.
Well, back to your normally scheduled programming. Mando, season 3, episode 2. So,
Chapter 18.
Chapter 18. The Mines of Mandalore. So Bo, Katan, Din, and Grogu are down on the ground, tunnels, whatever, going through. And so they're just talking about things. And so, I think, I guess just before they went down, Din says something to Bo along the lines of, what defines us as Mandalorians is our creed. Like, that's all that matters. Like, if you don't have the creed, then what makes you different than anyone else, type of thing. And so they start talking down below, and, Bo-Katan continues to say what she said last episode, where she's upset with all the divisions that the Mandalorians have had that caused their planet to fall, basically. Because all the internal fighting caused the splits and led to Mandalorian fall. So she has a lot of regrets with that. And we learn more about her backstory a little bit. That yes, we knew she was royalty because her sister Satine was the ruler of Mandalore during the Clone Wars, but she was just her sister, so she was just kind of like the princess, basically. And she, she said she recited the creed and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. And, people, at, like big gatherings she was always like put on the face of like being the good princess and made her father look good. And, she talks about her father was a great leader. And, Dan was like, man, I wish I knew your father. He sounds like a great guy. Like I really wish I knew him. And she said, well, he died defending Mandalore. And so when she says that, Din stops in his steps, and like, I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And he's like, this is the way.
This is the way.
I'm like, dude, that was so good. He's like,
so good, bro.
If you defend Mandalore, like, you are worthy of honor. Like, your dad gave his life trying to protect Mandalore. Like, this is the way. Like, he's a true Mandalorian because he gave his life for Mandalore. And so that affected Bo right there, where she's has this look like of shock. Like, maybe no one respected her father that much. Like, maybe people have forgotten about, like, whatever. Like, he's forgotten, but in this moment, Din chooses to recognize his honor and says, this is the way. And for Mando to say that, is like very important. Like he doesn't say that lightly. So that was a moment for her that affected her. But then they get to the mines where the water is. And so there is a plaque on the wall that she reads, like, oh, I want you to have the full experience of like going to these waters, because she said that she would always go to these waters when she was a kid. Like, it's not the first time. Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like it was more like a tourist thing. Like, yeah, it was historically important for the people, but it seemed like anyone could go down there. And the fact that there's like a plaque to read, like,
it seems like like a monument kind
yeah,
of
so it's
thing.
like a
You'll just
tourist
go.
thing. And so she reads it, and it's just gives kind of like the history of, this is where Beskar was from, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is where the rumor is that mythosaurs lived in these tunnels, in these mines before we ever discovered them, blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, cool. This is where mythosaurs originated from in the story, and how blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And so while she's reading, it's like Mando keeps like going to the water and standing there and like looking at the water. And he takes off his cape, and then I think some of his weapons or whatever. And he
put down the sword, the dark saber. He put down his pistol.
Yep. And so
took off his jetpack.
Yep. And he starts to recite the creed, which was the same creed that the kid was reciting in the water in the opener episode. I'm like, okay, that's why they're doing this, is so we remember these words. And so, like, I wonder. Okay, I'm getting a little like stepping back a little bit, but so she said that she recited the creed when she was a child, but like she didn't do the whole helmet thing. So like, I wonder if the whole helmet thing was never part of the creed and is a separate thing, because
it almost makes it seem like that's just part of what they.
Right.
I don't know though. I like picture this as like, this is the helmet thing might have been what it was too, but then like almost like two different religions, right? Like they just took what they wanted out of the religion, and like the Mandalorian creed, the watch is like literally word for word, like they're doing everything
Right.
the exact same.
Because like, but I was thinking back to that ceremony in the first episode, and the kid, he recites the lines. They put the helmet on, and then he said, like, the final thing they say is, "This is the way." Like, it's almost implying that was the end of the creed right there by saying, "This is the way."
Yeah.
And then when she
they added that part.
says, "From this point forward, I will never remove my helmet." Like, I wonder if that was then added on later. Like, so it's like, I wonder, like, yeah, Bo-Katan recited a creed, but the helmet thing was never part of the creed. But I wonder if Din knows that, or even if Marmor herself even knows that. So it's interesting to know, what exactly the creed is. So Din starts taking off his gear, and he's reciting the creed, walking in the water. Like, okay, cool. He's doing it. He's bathing in the living waters of Mandalore. He's getting redeemed. He's getting his.
Well, and she's reading off this plaque like sarcastically too, like
kind of just because it's like
she was like being like sassy with it, like making fun of like the whole thing about like, this is where the Mandalorian person like tamed the mythosaur, like she didn't believe it.
Right. No one really believed it, because it's all fairy. I think she said earlier that it's just a fairy tale or something like that.
Yeah.
So
clearly it's not.
And so he's walking down the steps into the water. I'm like, cool. He's getting his baptize on. Cool. And then he drops through the water. Now, it's hard to tell, but at this point, did something look like it grabbed him, or did it just fall? Like, I couldn't.
It just looked like he fell.
Because like when I first saw it, I was like, okay, something pulled him in. But then like Bo-Katan, immediately she jumps into the water after him with a jetpack. But like there's like nothing there. Like he just completely disappears. Like, and
Yeah, like at first I was like, he's walking, and then he fell, and I was like, oh, what the heck? Like something grabbed him. And then when she was even like going under the water, it looked like it slowly went down and then it dropped off. So I was like, oh, maybe he just like
well,
legitly just
because
fell
you
in
can
and he doesn't know how to
if
swim, like
right if you look at
swim well.
the steps in the water, like you can see that the steps have
Mhm.
been broken. So like
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's like he knows how to swim though, because we've seen him swim.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't. That's why I was like
So it's like I don't
confused.
know. Obviously, if you're not expecting to fall like that, it's gonna be a shock for
And
you
I
to
mean,
adjust.
Bhaskar is heavy, probably. Like I can't imagine Bhaskar being too
I
light.
don't know if it's that heavy though. I feel like it's a lot lighter than people realize because all that metal hanging on you, like,
That's
dude,
true.
if you like made any of that metal of like today with any of the metal we have, like that'd be like 300 pounds what Din's wearing. Like that's a lot
Yeah,
of weight. I think it's probably like titanium where it's very strong but very light.
light
But Bo, she jumps in the water and
instantly.
she uses her jetpack in the water, which is
So cool.
cool.
So cool.
Which, and I'm also thinking like, okay, he didn't turn his jetpack on because he didn't have it on, but he sank all the way to the bottom faster than she did with her jetpack. Like,
He got pulled, bro.
I don't know.
He definitely got pulled down.
I don't know because. So anyway, we'll finish the scene and then I'll explain why I don't think he got pulled down. But so she's trying to look when she has her light on her helmet, looking around. She turns it off so she can kind of like see his light better or whatever. And so she scans around and sees him laying on the ground. She goes down, grabs him on her way up, blah blah blah. And then she looks to the side. And she pans up and we see a big tusk. We see a big cheek. We see a big eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And her, like, she screams, like, all of her water, like, breath comes out, like, from her helmet because she screams or whatever. And it pans out, and we see this giant head. And it pans towards the camera so you can see the outline of the Mandalorian logo, like, Mythosaur skull.
Mythosaur.
Like what you're wearing right now on your hat right now. Look exactly like that. And then she gets to the top, jetpacks through the water, lands on the surface. Mando, he's coughing. And she's just like in shock, like, what did I just see? And so the reason why I don't think that he was pulled down is because that Mythosaur seemed like it was sleeping the whole time.
Oh, I think the Mythosaur grabbed him and threw him down.
And then fell
Thought he
asleep
was
and then
dead. I don't think he was asleep. I think he was just like,
I don't know. I feel like if he's like that, like into like trying to like stop people from entering the water, or like why didn't he attack Bo-Katan when she jumped in? Like,
because she's like, maybe it was one of her ancestors that ride him.
I don't know.
Because he didn't do anything to her, and maybe it was like he knows that she's royalty, like she's allowed to do it, like being there and stuff. My question is, does that count as baptized? That's as deep as you get. I'm pretty sure that counts. Like,
Well, how is he gonna prove that he was in the water? Like,
I mean,
Grogu.
either way, how is he gonna prove though?
But that's my point.
You know
Like,
what I
how
mean?
do you?
Like,
He said he would if I can prove that I bathed in the waters. Like,
Grogu.
I don't know. He didn't have his iPhone out. Like,
Bo-Katan. I think Boca is going back with him.
well, Armor doesn't like Bo because
they're gonna.
Armor is like
they're
she's a
gonna fight.
cautionary tale. Like she is like the Armor thinks
Yeah.
Bo-Katan is a fraud. Like blah blah blah.
Dude, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think the Armor is actually like shady.
I don't know.
Like I can see the Armor being like she likes it her way or the highway kind of thing,
and Bo-Katan's not like.
No, I'm not saying she isn't either, but I think after this episode, it seems like she's changing. Like she was willing to take Din down there just to be like whatever, and then that conversation that conversation with her dad was like very much like a heartwarming conversation, you know? So I don't know. I think
So yes, Bo-Katan is a changing, because now she believes in the myths and stuff. So this is what I wrote on the Discord that I wanted her to read concerning Bo-Katan and her seemingly shift on her understanding of reality now. So I wrote in the Discord, I love how Mando's faith seemed to impact Bo when he was reciting the creed. In season 2, we had the episode The Believer, where Din had to question the meaning of the creed. Maybe last week's title, The Apostate, was actually referring to Bo because Din is the believer and she was not. Bo is starting to believe again by seeing the faithfulness of a believer.
oh,
So,
very wise of you, Jeremy.
well, I did. After I watched this episode, I texted my pastor. I was like, I could preach a sermon on this episode.
Oh, gosh.
So, yes, it's very reminiscent of like, she lost faith in the creed. She lost faith in the myths and the stories. And she's no longer.
I don't even know if she ever had faith in those because they're so separated, you know?
I don't know. I felt like when she was a kid, she did believe the creeds because she said she recited them, even though she did it as like a show. But like, she still felt like she believed them.
They meant something.
But she lost faith with all the divisions.
Or like she said it because they meant something to her dad and the people.
Right. And then probably, especially when her sister Satine was killed, like it probably really split her even more. And so she lost faith in the Mandalorian creed. But when she was watching Din recite the creed while he was walking into the water, something clicked for her. And then when she saw the mythosaur, like her faith was restored. And it was, if she didn't go on this, if she didn't see the example of Din as like the true believer of the creed, like she wouldn't have started to believe again. So
yeah, and I think it's very important that the writers and stuff chose to bring her along in this journey instead of like him trying to convince him like by word, like I saw a mythosaur, or like this happened, I bathed in the waters. It was like more like because she was there and she experienced, she's changing, she sees the loyalty that he's having, she's probably going to start believing in him as a leader, or because he owes her something, there's going to be something where she might become the leader again. I'm willing to put down money that Bo-Katan and the armor are going to fight in this season.
Maybe. I think that I hope we do see him meet. Like that would be.
I think we'll definitely see him meet. I think we're gonna see him meet next episode.
But like, I feel like, because yes, from the trailer we see, like we mentioned earlier, Din goes back to that planet and then walks through the cave with other Mandos. So like I wonder if because he's redeemed now and that he has a Darksaber, if he's going to try and how quickly he's going to try and lead people. Like if that's something he's going to start to do right away, or if maybe he's not going to seek it out, but because
it's going to come naturally to him.
Because the Mandalorians are there, you're going to know that, okay, he's now back. He's been redeemed. He has a Darksaber.
He knows the planet is not cursed.
Right. He's been to the planet. Bo-Katan might now feel like she can maybe follow him in some way. So like the fact that
she can get her people that
someone that's from Mandalore is now maybe willing to follow someone of the Watch, like as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could see that. I just don't know how the armor is gonna.
I think, and also like Bo-Katan might be able to get her people back too.
I don't think Bo-Katan can do that. I think Din has to do that.
Or Din, yeah.
I feel like it's being set up that Din is going to be the middle ground between all the different factions because he's going to be the lead for the watch people that are very to by the book to the creed, and then you're gonna have all the people that kind of broke off who want to bring restoration to Mandalore. Like everyone wants restoration back to Mandalore, and Din is kind of like the best of both worlds, where he can now maybe he can make new decisions. Like he can, okay, this helmet thing, like it's okay, you can take your helmet off if you want to keep it on. Sure, you do you, but you're still a Mandalorian if you take the helmet off, as long as you've taken the creed. Like because in season 1, Cara Dune, she's like, Mandalorians aren't a race; it's a creed. And it's like if you recite the creed and you devote yourself to Mandalore in the whatever, like then you're a Mandalorian and you can do whatever you want. But I don't know. It's gonna be pretty. Cause like we're only 2 episodes in. Bro. Like this went a lot faster than we thought. So
which is, yeah.
I obviously the pirate thing is gonna be a big thing. We don't know. Like maybe that's literally the next episode is just the pirate thing. They save Navarro.
He goes there, and then he hears about Navarro, and then he brings them all, and that's the first thing they all do together.
Yeah, like maybe or maybe at the end of next episode he gets the distress call from Grief Karga, and see episode 4 is that. But then you have the second
4
half
episodes
of the
to figure out what we're doing.
So there's a lot that could happen. So
either way, like the last few seasons, the trailer like has always been like the first few episodes. So I think that's the only thing left is him with all of them, and then them back on Navarro with all the Mandalorian people.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. Everything else is going to be a mystery. So.
Right, and I feel like we're still going to see some more Empire stuff, like remnants out there. We have to, like, yeah, Moff Gideon was the lead of that, and since he was captured,
I think he's getting out.
Yeah, so maybe he will return as a villain again. I don't know, but I don't know.
There's got to be some way, but
I don't know. But that's episode 2,
chapter 18.
Chapter 18. Well, we do have one voicemail and an email, so we can do voicemails tonight quick. So, anything else from this episode that you want to discuss before we transition?
I don't think so. I think, like I said, right now it's like my favorite episode, and I'm super excited to like go watch it again.
Cool. All right, let's transition to voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
All right. Well, Anchor is still having issues with sending in voicemails. So Retta tried to send one in. It came in, but it was super, super choppy. Couldn't understand anything. So she just sent her voicemail as a message. So let's read her message. And she does say as a PS at the end, you don't need to try and do an impression of my voice. I was like, okay, good. I can only do Will. I only can do Will. I don't know if I could do Retta.
Was a little jab at Will too?
No, just Will has a very unique way of talking sometimes, and it's very notable. So, but anyway, so from Retta says, "Hi Drew and Jeremiah. Wow, this episode of Mando was so good. This show is so fast paced compared to Andor and even Bad Batch. Even though the episodes are relatively short, there's so much that happens. I love Bo-Katan in this episode. The way she stops her pity party to help a fellow Mandalorian was just fantastic. She's so strong and so fun to watch as she just mows through her enemies. I especially enjoyed how she was explaining things to Grogu and how she called Grogu Din's kid." Mm-hmm. Speaking of Grogu, Jeremiah, have your opinions on Grogu changed at all because of this episode? He was much more useful here than he is, and it sounded like it sounded like he was starting to talk a little bit. It's adorable when Din teaches him things like how to navigate in the history of the planet of Mandalore. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on this and Bad Batch. Thanks. So, yes. Bo-Katan was great in this episode. Definitely. Because people were hating on her last week for being like,
I mean, I was hating
Howdy.
on her last week. I
but
was like, she's annoying.
but this episode, yes, Bo-Katan I thought was great. Like, we get to see her like be her at her best in a sense, and seeing her character change, like where she's starting to believe again, is great. And her question about Grogu. Now, if you know, I am done with that gimmick of like halfway through last season. I was like I'm done with this Grogu gimmick. This good. Luke took him. We're never gonna have to see him again. Perfect. He's done. And now he's back. And I was mad about that. But are my opinions any different now because of this episode? Retta asks. And so I do remember thinking when I was watching this episode, I was like, okay, Grogu. Okay. Okay. So I the fact that he's actually like not a ball and chain anymore and he's actually doing stuff and like helping and making smart decisions and whatnot, like he's Groguing on me, not growing on me, Groguing on me. Get it? So yes, I'm hopeful for Grogu a little bit. Do I think he's gonna talk? I think it was rumored, like, or hinted at by Jon Favreau or somebody, that he might say his first words this season.
He'll probably say like,
"This is the way."
Din Djarin or something.
Dad, yeah. It'd be funny if his first words were "Mama" to Bo-Katan. That'd be funny.
Stop.
But like, I wonder what he would say. Like, what is his voice gonna sound like? Like, is it gonna be like high pitched like baby voice, or is it gonna be like something different? And I know
it's gonna be like Bobby Frick.
Maybe some broken English type of thing. Now, we do know that, I don't know if you heard this, but recently, I mean, not recently, maybe like last summer or something, it's been stated that the reason Yoda talks the way he talks is because that's how his master talked. And so
Grogu's not going to speak backwards.
He's not going to speak backwards.
No, but if he does, you think someone's going to get mad?
Yes. But
that someone's Jeremiah.
Yep, that too. But so cool. I guess.
Didn't what's her name think he said her name too on Tatooine?
Yeah, but in the subtitles it was just like blah blah or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so the fact that they say that, oh, he said his first words, like it's hinting that he's probably gonna say something.
He's gonna speak for sure.
Hopefully it's.
And it's about time. That boy is like 57 years old. He better be.
Yeah,
speaking.
he's an OG. So, and I've heard people think like how, you know, he used to be able to speak, but because like of this trauma from Order 66, and like how we learned that he turned himself off from the Force and all that stuff, like it shut down his brain and all that stuff. So like
that is something.
Now that he's embracing the Force again and he's kind of living back to how he used to, he's gonna like start talking again.
But that is something that we forgot that was in the trailer.
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know, for some reason, at one point in this episode, I thought we were gonna get a flashback of him.
I thought we were gonna get a flashback of when when Bo-Katan was like looking at like the city, like I once ruled here. I thought we were gonna get a flashback of that.
That would have been cool.
That would have been sweet. Or even the flashback of her like reciting the creed as a kid with her dad.
That'd be cool.
That place would have been like lit up and a bunch of Mandalorians and.
Dude, I want to know.
Sick, bro.
Who would play live action Satine? Like, who would be some blonde chick?
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of chicks, happy International Women's Day to all the women out there.
It's probably the worst way to say Happy International. This boy.
But yeah, so I hope we get some flashbacks.
Yeah. Well, I
we
mean,
know
we're for sure getting
we're
one.
getting the Grogu flashback, but like I wonder if we're gonna get some Mandalorian flashbacks. Like that'd be really cool to see.
That'd be
Like
cool to see what it looked like in live action.
like before Clone Wars, even if it was like 10 years before Clone Wars or something, when it was just them kind of like at a good healthy spot, or even if it was like 1,000 years ago, that'd be super cool too. Like,
or what if we see the flashback of right as it's like right before it's getting blown up?
we'll probably see a flashback of the Night of 1,000 Tears. I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah.
But I just want like a Mandalorian show, like a one from like 500 years ago or something like of like only
Dude,
Mandalorians on Mandalore.
I want a book, dude. I want a book.
What would it be called? The Mandalore. But you couldn't call it the Mandalorian, but the Mandalore, like the first Mandalore that conquered the Mythosaur. But yes.
Or like even a book about Din Djarin's childhood. That'd be cool too.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I've said for quite a while. I think I even said this in season 1 or before season 2 started. Like, I believe that Din is gonna have the Darksaber. He's gonna be riding on top of the Mythosaur, and all of the Mandalorians are gonna be back on the planet, and they're all gonna look to him as the Mandalore, and all that jazz. I just wonder, like, is the Mythosaur an aquatic thing? Like, is it mainly an underwater thing, or is it like a land thing? But anyway, I forgot. We're also in voicemails right now, so we have one voicemail. But the Mythosaur is a big thing. I would hope we'll see that more this season than just that. But anyway, we have an actual voicemail from Brady that is related. It's not necessarily related to the show itself, but it's about concerns about Mandalorian. So let's take a listen from Brady, because we haven't heard from him a while. Our good, one of our favorite Canadians out there. So let's take a listen.
Hello, Empire Radio. I was joking with some of my friends today about, having Jar Jar rise up to become Mandalore, and that prompted a conversation, or at least a question in my mind that I think could be made into a conversation. The Gungans and the Mandalorians are both warrior cultures. They both have similar views about the world and the galaxy that they live in. So my question is this. What do you think would happen if the Mandalorians and the Gungans went to war with one another? Thank you all, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
All right, thank you, Brady, for that great question.
Brady. I know how much you love Gungan.
He loves Gungans.
And you have a Gungan named podcast. But they would get demolished. It wouldn't even be like worth.
Well, yeah, but I think it depends though. Like, if
what?
it's on the Naboo, like underwater
or not.
Like, yeah, now we know the jetpacks are a thing,
and they can seal their helmets so they have oxygen too.
But I think that if it's underwater, if the Mandalorians go to Naboo and attack the Gungans, the Gungans are going to have an advantage because they're on their home turf. They know how to do the underwater stuff. And also, I think that the biggest fish that we see in episode 1 would destroy a Mythosaur. So
okay, chill out.
I'm just saying.
No.
But if it's on land, I think that yes, the Mandalorians would win because they have more numbers and they have better technology. I don't think Gungans have any ships that fly.
They don't have guns.
They have
bombs.
They have something.
They have circular bombs.
And so, but if it's underwater, the Gungans. If it's on land,
I can't. I don't
the Mandalorians
get behind that.
So,
because they don't. I don't think anything on those bombs could do anything against Beskar.
Well, so take out any ships that they have. If there was like,
And also, the Mandos can just go like past the swim like jetpack into their base, and then they're on land.
I don't know.
And we don't know if the Gungans. Do we know that the Gungans ever fought in water? Because we know that they can swim really well and stuff.
No, but there's that underwater arc in Clone Wars Season 4.
Oh shoot, yeah, you're
when
right.
they come to the aid of the Mon Calamari, which is a really good arc in Clone Wars.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
And so we do see that. So they can fight underwater.
Or did they have guns in that? I don't remember.
They had something. I can't remember what they look like specifically.
Tridents. Were they also hanging out with?
But the question is, though, are the Gungans being led by Darth Jar Jar, though? If the Gungans are being led by Darth Jar Jar.
Well, we got Grogu, though.
Yeah, but he's still a baby. He can't even freak Din from that cage thing. Come on, like okay. Now I remember when I thought he was gonna have that flashback. I thought he was gonna get the Darksaber. Grogu was gonna grab the Darksaber.
That would have been.
And he was gonna have a flashback of being trained or something, or using a saber or something.
Yeah, or like surviving through.
Yeah, and I thought he was gonna. That was gonna like
66.
awaken some of his training, and he was just gonna cut open the cage, but no, didn't happen.
Not yet.
But yes, thank you, Brady.
The question is, do we even know? Did he return that lightsaber?
Huh? Did Din get it? He has it.
No, Grogu.
Return what saber?
The saber that Luke was gonna give him.
He never took it.
He had to choose. Didn't, right?
He had to choose between the saber or the armor.
True.
So I don't know. I still
always pick a saber, bro. What were you thinking?
Yeah, but then he can't be a Mandalorian, so.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't even have a helmet yet.
Anywho, that's the voicemails.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think we might have, after we started recording, I think we got some for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, and there's people in the chat that have been saying that they're sending in some. So,
all right. Hopefully, voicemails are starting to work again soon on Anchor. I don't know. It's weird because Brady's worked fine. Retta's did not. Retta said that people who send voicemails into her podcast have been having issues, but like the website has been updating like every week, so it's just the website as they're updating things and redoing the site. So
like we said, if you guys are trying to send a voicemail, you can always just send in an email, or you guys can also record and send like an MP3 file.
Yeah, and so that'll work just fine. Make sure, but don't go over a minute because the voicemails are a minute. So if you're sending in like a 4-minute long voicemail,
it better be good.
It better be VCU quality audio drama.
What if they're like this? I was supposed to send in 4, so I'm just sending in one long one.
Oh, gosh.
And the person I'm talking about, that's a will. That's a will thing.
I don't even know how big of a audio file I can put into the.
Oh, that's true.
The soundboard on.
Edit it, cut it up into minutes.
Yeah, I'm not cutting that. Crap, I don't got time for that.
I mean, I could probably push it as a button, actually.
You probably could too, yeah. But anyway, we're going pretty long tonight. We're getting close to 2 hours now. So let's go over some socials and get out of here. So in the description below, there's the links.co/Empire Radio, links with 2 eyes, landing page for everything Empire Radio. So you will find links to our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, our fan email, the VCU Illustration Project, which we talked about a lot tonight. Do that. needlesslynerdy.com, which we are a part of. There's a website that's an entertainment network, so there's all kinds of podcasts and articles, and it's a growing website with a lot of opportunities for nerdy stuff. So check that out. What else? Are we missing anything? if you want to send if you have never sent in a voicemail, there's a link for the voicemail on there too. So send in a voicemail. If you've never sent one in, we'd love to hear it, especially you international folks out there who like hearing those accents. We haven't heard an international one for a while. Well, technically Brady's international. He's from Canada, but
even though he's like close to us,
right. So
international.
He's probably closer to us than some other people in the United States are to us. So
he's closer than us, probably than Will is to us.
Possibly. So, yeah. Check out everything Empire Radio. Follow us on YouTube, Twitch. Drew is doing watch parties for The Mandalorian. And so if you want to watch his reaction, just sync it up with your own Disney Plus, and you can just watch him react to the episode live. And he does it on Twitch and then uploads this to YouTube. And all of our podcast recordings are on Twitch Live. So we do those Wednesday nights and Thursday nights for Bad Batch.
And we're getting a lot more interactions on Twitch. So if you guys want to be part of that, definitely come over to Twitch on the live streams.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of fun. So, yeah. Anything else, Drew? Any final thoughts, theories, hopes? What do you think is going to happen? We got to come up with a question for the Spotify. What are we going to see more Mythosaur? Or
do you agree with Drew that it was the best live action episode of all time?
No, we're not doing that one.
I mean, we could do a Mythosaur
Well,
question.
I'll come up with a Mythosaur question. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Anything
else? This episode is so good. I don't even care where we go from here. I just know it's gonna be good.
Yeah. All right.
So.
Cool. So you have been listening to another Mandalorian-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.